Hi everyone, this is Pastor Matt from Wesley United Methodist Church, and I just wanted to give a little encouragement because this week we're coming upon March 13th, which is a Saturday this year, but last year it was Friday the 13th. And the reason this sticks out is because so often we have some of these superstitions or moments about Friday the 13th. But I was looking forward to Friday the 13th because I was going to be going to a birthday party for a friend of mine. So there was actually a lot of excitement about Friday the 13th. But something happened last year significantly, and it resulted on Friday the 13th being the start of what I'm realizing as the COVID pandemic. It's when decisions were made and everything changed. Wednesday, Thursday, there was whisperings, and by Friday, places were closed. Couldn't go places. Kids brought their laptops home. You know what I'm getting at. This week, I wanted to come to you today before we get to the 13th because I have a feeling if you're using Facebook or YouTube to watch this, you have internet access. And probably what happens is there's a feature in your Facebook feed that will show you the memories of the past that happened on this day. And I thought soon we're going to be bombarded with posts that we made, with things that we shared at the height and the start of this pandemic from the COVID-19 coronavirus. And I don't know about you, but I'm not really ready to go back to that place even in my mind. I know it's going to happen, and I'm not even ready to see some of that stuff that reminds me of where we were just a year ago. And friends, I'm a person that lives in hope. I'm hopeful that these vaccines will lead to some newness. I believe that we are moving out of that huge heightened state of panic and toilet paper hoarding that sent us into a frenzy and shelves were bare. We're moving beyond that, and I'm hopeful and confident that we've left the worst of that behind us because we know so much more now. There's no shortage of masks for us to get. But we're all going to be reminded very soon at the end of this week that a whole year has gone by. I really like chocolate. For those of you that can see, this is a York peppermint patty. Now, if you remember what York peppermint patties are famous for, it's this. Now I'm transformed into someplace new. This still feels a lot of the same. See, even the power of a York peppermint patty doesn't really change what's going on in and around us. So while I'm hopeful for those things that are coming up, I'm also hopeful for the things that don't change. And it's not our situations, because I believe we've all learned something, we've all experienced something from this, and we've all had some priorities that have changed in this. But friends, I want us to focus on some things that haven't changed that are really good. Philippians, the Word of God, doesn't change. If anything, it's just proven over and over. So let's take a look at something that hasn't changed since last year. Philippians 1:6 says, because of the work of the faithful and those in the church, for those who have seen the work and the faithful of the church, God who began a good work in us will carry it through until completion, until the day of Christ. So being rooted and being faithful and doing kingdom building work and being the church, because that is our foundation in Philippians 1:6, God who began a good work in us will carry it through until completion, until the day of Jesus Christ. That was true last year for some of our devotions at the start of this pandemic, and it's still true today. God is still at work, has been at work, and will continue to be at work through us, through our families, through our communities, and through our church. Because God has been faithful through it the entire time. And now that some of these things are changing, we're going to be called to make some changes as well. Things will never be the same. And I really want to ask you, heart to heart, we shouldn't really want things to go back to normal, should we? If we really look hard at it, was normal working for us? I mean, were we experiencing God's best in our lives and in our world with what was a year ago? I believe the best days are ahead of us for all of us. But it will be embracing something new, that God's up to something. Also, one of my favorite devotions always, and from last year especially during this time, was from Romans 5:3-4. And it says, we also should glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. And perseverance produces character. And character produces hope. Friends, you and I are people born into hope. We were born again because of the great mercy and grace that fell from the cross on us. We are a people born again into hope. And so as we experience a year that we've been dealing with some limitations, some heartbreak, some frustrations, some unknowns, I believe that high anxiety and fear is behind us because of what we know and the cautions we know to take and the fact that things are being restocked and other things have happened. But we are still in the midst of change and unknown. But friends, through this time, through this year of COVID-19, this pandemic, we have suffered. And we've learned what perseverance feels like. We've learned to fight for things. We've learned to be patient in the unknown. And in our perseverance, it's really shown our character. Are we a people of fear or a people of hope? Are we a people that are grounded in the presence of God? Are we people that would flee because we're not sure where we stand? Are we a people whose character reveals hope and blessing? You see, I'm not going to turn, as tasty as your peppermint patties are, I'm not going to turn to this to ease my burden. I'm going to remind myself of this, that I am a blessed person, and you are blessed people. We are a blessed nation. Let us focus our eyes on God and give our hearts and our fears over to God so that God will continue to work in us and continue to root us that we can survive and persevere. But more than that, God has called his kingdom brothers and sisters to thrive. Go forward today, hopeful, and every time we see a reminder of what happened last year as it comes in the coming weeks, to know that we've survived it. God is still on the throne. God's not finished with us yet. And we need to only count our blessings, and we will see the full love and mercy of God. Be blessed today, friends.